Surprised, Han Sen looked to King Xuan. She smiled and said, "Listen to me, go apply to Blackhawk. If you could be admitted, I guarantee that Son of Heaven would not dare to touch your family." "How can you guarantee that?" Han Sen stared at her. "Every time we fought, I recorded and observed your combat data. I could tell you for sure that you have the talent to be a great sniper or archer. Your timing and prediction of your opponent are outstanding," King Xuan said. Han Sen did not speak. These words of praise were not what he wanted to hear. "In the army, in addition to being the station master, I am also responsible for organizing a special squad. I think you are someone I need. As long as you join the squad, your family can get protection from the military. I can tell you for certain that if you become a member of the squad, Son of Heaven cannot use any unlawful means to hurt your family," said King Xuan. "However, the prerequisite is that you have to be admitted to Blackhawk. Only then would I be able to nominate you to join the squad." Han Sen did not answer King Xuan immediately, but pondered for a moment. He looked at her and asked, "Is it possible for you to tell me the nature of this squad?" "No," King Xuan answered without the slightest hesitation. "Give me a little time. I need to think about it," Han Sen said. "Sure, I still have time. Think about it." King Xuan smiled and seemed very confident. Han Sen left the teleport station, returned home and rested for a day. He went back to God's sanctuary the next afternoon. Han Sen deliberately circled around Steel Armor Shelter before he put on his sacred blood armor and went in the shelter, attracting a lot of people's attention. "Wow, that's Dollar himself. Haha, Dollar made his appearance. Dollar, my angel, is here. Among all the people in First God's sanctuary, only Dollar is my idol." The whole Steel Armor Shelter became a hit. Although everyone knew Dollar was there, they were still pleasantly surprised to see Dollar making his appearance. Han Sen did not speak, but walked toward the martial hall. Soon, behind him gathered a lot of people. Some that had already participated in the contest returned to the martial hall following Han Sen. They all wanted to see Dollar fighting in person. The preliminary round was almost finished and there were just a few people on the stands. However, the martial hall became full again soon after Han Sen had arrived. Han Sen checked the martial steel and there were two more groups before him. He then found a front seat to sit down. It didn't take long for Son of Heaven, Fist Guy and King Xuan to arrive. Watching Han Sen closely, Son of Heaven would have killed him if they were alone. "Dollar, can we talk?" King Xuan approached Han Sen and asked. "What is it?" Han Sen replied in a hoarse voice. "I want to invite you to join Steel Armor Gang and you can put forward any condition." King Xuan said. Young Manly said on the side. "If you are willing to join Bullseye, I'll concede the position of team leader to you. You would make such a perfect archer." "Sorry, I am not interested in joining Steel Armor Gang or being an archer," replied Han Sen. "Dollar, I think we should be talking about nothing but business. If you had beast souls or meat of mutant or sacker blood creatures, I would gladly pay for them. For example, the beast soul of the Bloody Slayer." Fist Guy also approached Han Sen. "I do have some mutant creature meat to sell," Han Sen said to Fist Guy. Fist Guy's eyes lit up. "What creatures? How much?" "Some mutant hornet." The meat was all cleaned up. "There are 20 to 30 hornets," Han Sen said casually, but people surrounding him were shocked. 20 to 30. "You did not destroy an entire mutant hornet nest, did you? Where did you find them?" Fist Guy asked hurriedly. "Don't you mind where I got them? Just tell me if you are interested," said Han Sen. "Yes, of course I'm interested. If you really have them, give me a quote and I'll take them all," Fist Guy quickly said. "Fist Guy, what do you mean by taking them all? You think King Xuan and I are dead?" Son of Heaven scowled and said to Han Sen, "1 million each. I'll buy however many you have." 1 million. Son of Heaven, don't look down on others. "I'll bid 1.2 million each," cried Fist Guy. Son of Heaven gave Fist Guy a stare. 1.5 million. "Do you think you could keep up with me? Being rich does not mean you'd be willing to bid." 1.6 million, replied Fist Guy, not to be outdone. "Don't bid yet. I don't intend to sell these separately, nor will I trade them for money," Han Sen said. "Name your price." Although Son of Heaven wanted to kill Han Sen right now, seeing a large amount of mutant creature meat of rare hornets, he would not let others beat him to it. "I want to exchange these mutant creatures for an S-class license for St. Hall," Han Sen said quietly. Hearing Han Sen's words, both Son of Heaven and Fist Guy looked reluctant. St. Hall was a research institution of martial arts. Most of the popular hyper-geno arts were developed by St. Hall. St. Hall also sold some advanced hyper-geno arts, but there were restrictions on the purchase, especially for the most advanced S-class hyper-geno arts. Ordinary people were not eligible to purchase even if they had money. Han Sen wanted to buy an advanced hyper-geno art for his mother and sister to practice, as he didn't dare to show Jadeskin to anyone before he knew where this hyper-geno art came from. "Your price is too high." I'll buy all your mutant creatures at 2 million each. Plus I will let go of our previous grievances, said Son of Heaven, staring at Han Sen. Sorry, I want nothing but the S-Class license for St. Hall. You can think about it. Han Sen rose and walked onto the stage. It was his group's turn. Watching Han Sen coming, others in the group felt bitter as they knew it was impossible for them to pass the preliminary round now that Dollar was here. Do not be afraid. Dollar is on his own and we can join forces to get rid of him first. A young man geared up and said, Exactly, let's get rid of the little angel first. Someone looked at Han Sen greedily, as if he were looking at a naked woman. Haha, Dollar. I am a big fan, so I'll try to be gentle with you. Dollar, do not run, take my punch. Suddenly nearly 100 people on the stage all threw themselves at Han Sen while yelling frantically. S-T. What the heck? Shouldn't my fans be protecting me rather than beating me up? Thought Han Sen bitterly. Although these people looked menacing, they weren't using any weapon. No one was trying to get involved in a desperate fight with Han Sen. Basically, the stronger persons had all registered relatively early. Those who had waited until this time to register were most likely relatively weak or new to God's sanctuary. Han Sen did not use any weapon either. Seeing the first person's fist almost in his face, Han Sen moved slightly and dodged the blow. Using his hand as a knife, Han Sen attacked back with Blade Storm. The man did not have time to react before he was cut on the back of his neck and fell directly to the ground. Han Sen moved like the wind, flashing his hand knife. He could almost always get rid of an opponent with just one blow. Wherever he went, people were thrown off their feet and it was like the scene after a tornado. The best thing about learning Ghost Hunt was that Han Sen now knew the various aspects of the human body very well. Although he didn't use Ghost Hunt, he was still able to use Blade Storm appropriately so that no one got seriously hurt when they were defeated. Watching nearly 100 opponents knocked out by Han Sen, many smiled and chose to quit after they got back on their feet. Dollar is out of this world. Dollar, my angel, you are so handsome. I want to bear your children, Dollar. On the stands, the audience was roaring in excitement. When the last opponent got off the stage, Han Sen was pleased with himself while waving at the audience. He thought, it seems I also have the potential of being a star. Should I say give me 10 more now? Never mind, what's 10 to me? I've already defeated 100. Han Sen automatically got into the next round. Just when he walked out of the martial hall, he saw a few young girls running to him, offering him a pen. They asked in slightly trembling voices, Dollar, can we have your signature? Han Sen paused as he didn't expect this. Fortunately, it took him only a second before he took the pen and said yes. But the next second, Han Sen was embarrassed. These little girls only gave him a pen, but did not give him any kind of paper. Where should he sign? Where do I sign? Han Sen asked in a hoarse voice. Dollar, can you please sign here? A plump girl stuck out her breasts, stretching out her blouse. Han Sen was just a young man, and his nose almost bled from the view. Practicing jade skin secretly, he calmed himself down and signed Dollar on the girl's tight outfit. Dollar, Dollar, sign here. More and more girls squeezed over, scrambling. Some even stuck out their butts for him to sign. After signing for a few, Han Sen turned around and saw himself surrounded by a crowd. A man nearly 6 feet tall raised an arm and flexed his muscles at Han Sen, crying in a muffled voice, Dollar, sign here please. Han Sen finally got out of the martial hall, and was surprised to see Son of Heaven, Fist Guy and King Shuin waiting for him there. Dollar, other than the license to purchase at S-Class section, would you consider other options? I can trade mutant beast souls and some money with you, Fist Guy said. Sorry, I won't consider anything else, Han Sen said. Son of Heaven stood aside and did not speak. Although he had what Han Sen wanted, he was not willing to trade it for mutant creature meat. If it was sacred blood creature, it might be different. Dollar, if you have 30 mutant creatures, I will make the deal with you. If you trust me, you can first transfer to me the license and I will send the goods to you later. If not, we could schedule a time privately to trade in person, replied Han Sen. Let's schedule a time then. I need some time to get you the S-Class purchase license, King Shuan said. Han Sen got the S-Class license and teleported out of God's sanctuary. He wanted to buy an advanced hyper-geno art for his mother and sister to practice. Han Sen put away the tutorial of Holy Angel and went to St. Paul to pick Han Yan up. He wanted her to come home to practice Holy Angel, so she would have to stop living on campus for a while. Han Yan's teacher was a 27-year-old woman in a professional suit. Under her knee-length skirt, the flesh-colored stockings really showed off her long legs. She had her hair pulled back and was wearing a pair of wire-rimmed glasses. Although she looked demure and full of mature women's charm, Han Sen knew well that she was definitely already in Second God's Sanctuary, which was the minimum standard for teachers at St. Paul. You are Han Yan's brother. Guan slightly frowned at Han Sen. Yes, Misk, I want you to give Yan a few days off, Han Sen said. Guan was displeased and said with some disgust, where are your parents? Why haven't they come? They are very busy. I have come of age and can be considered one of Yan's guardians. You could tell me if you have something to say, Han Sen said. Guan said bluntly, what do your parents take education for? Do they think everything will simply work out if they spend the money and send their daughter to an expensive school? The school has started for quite a while now, yet your parents haven't been here or asked about her study once. Do they know what Han Yan needs? I'm so sorry, Misk. We have a lot going on in the family. It's our fault. Did anything happen to Yan? Han Sen asked worriedly, shaking her head. Guan said with some bitterness, Han Yan is fine. She is a talented girl and would do so much better if she could use advanced nutrient solutions and care. Now, she's only using an ordinary nutrient solution package and does not have a physician assigned to her, which has affected her grades. Since your parents have sent her to St. Paul, are they going to allow this to happen just to save some money? The families that could afford tuition of St. Paul must have tens or hundreds of millions in their accounts. Guan didn't realize that Han Sen's family might be short of money. Han Sen knew what she was saying. Nutrient solutions couldn't improve one's genes like the meat of creatures in God's sanctuary did, but it could offer all the nutrients needed by the human body. In this sense, it could also improve one's fitness, though not as greatly as the meat would. The more advanced the nutrient solution was, the more benefits it could bring to one's study and body. Han Sen had used some when he was a kid, but as his family went down, he had to stop. A physician was someone responsible for conditioning a student's body. If there was any accident in the process of studying, the physician would timely condition the student's body and use scientific methods to keep the student always at his or her best. Both purchasing nutrient solutions and hiring a physician would cost a lot of money. The several million Han Sen gave to Luo Sulan were just enough to send Han Yan to St. Paul, so the nutrient solution package they bought for her was the cheapest type, which only cost 100,000 per month. Hence the result was not ideal. The physician and conditioning equipment Han Yan had been using were shared ones at school. Misk, you are right. We will buy Han Yan the premium nutrient solution package next month and please assign a good physician to her as well, Han Sen said. After returning home, Han Sen showed Yan the tutorial of Holy Angel and asked her to memorize it. With the holographic demonstration, it was not difficult to learn. Being intelligent, Yan memorized Holy Angel after watching just a few times. On the next day, the Geno solution compatible with Holy Angel was delivered to their home by the staff of St. Hall. Han Sen asked Yan to drink it in accordance with the instructions, because practicing hyper-Geno arts could generate a burden on one's body, and each hyper-Geno art had different effects. Most hyper-Geno arts would have to be practiced along with the using of its correspondent Geno solution. An S-class hyper-Geno art usually came with 3 bottles of Geno solution, so it could be practiced by up to 3 persons. If the matching Geno solution was not used, St. Hall would be exempt from any obligations and medical bills if there was an accident during the practice. Before this, Han Sen did not know how advanced hyper-Geno arts worked, so he felt lucky that he had successfully practiced Jadeskin. Yan, this hyper-Geno art is the secret of our family. Do not let others know about it, okay? Han Sen did not even tell Yan the name Holy Angel. Han Yan nodded seriously. Yan will not tell anyone that I practiced the hyper-Geno art my brother gave me. Good girl. If you encounter some danger and someone asks you which hyper-Geno art you are practicing, tell him you do not know and it's taught to you by your brother, Han Sen said. Yan understands, Han Yan said solemnly. Excellent. Han Sen patted Han Yan's head, feeling pity for his sister. Children who grew up in poor families were better prepared to deal with problems. Han Sen had spent some carefree years when he was a child. When Han Yan was born, however, their family had been declining, so she had never lived a good life. For this, she was more mature than her peers. In the station master's office at the teleport station, Young Manly placed a capsule in front of King Xuan. Station master, you are sure you want to use this? Young Manly looked at King Xuan who had picked up the capsule. I have to know why he is not willing to go to Blackhawk, and whether he wants to join my squad. King Xuan said, there are so many guys like him, cowardly, greedy and lecherous. There is no need to win him over. I think we should make every effort to get Dollar on our side instead. Who can become the best archer possible? Young Manly said. King Xuan just smiled. Dollar is of course amazing, but a man like him would not give us any chance to control him. Han Sen is still very talented, and I think he can do well. But the person I need must have a clean slate and be willing to join my squad, which takes me some effort to confirm. Young Manly wanted to say more, but King Xuan stopped her. Unless you can get Dollar to join our squad, Han Sen is my choice. Young Manly did not reply, but was secretly determined to find Dollar and persuade him. Han Sen did not know what King Xuan saw in him that she wanted him to join her squad so bad. Before he entered the teleport station, he made sure that he wasn't in King Xuan's sight. Unfortunately, nothing could go unnoticed under her nose. It's been a long time since we fought. Show me your progress. Noticing King Xuan did not mention other matters, Han Sen was secretly relieved. Han Sen was now much better, but he did not dare to show her all he got. Even if he did, she would probably still beat him. Drink some water. King Xuan took off her helmet and fetched 2 bottles of water. She unscrewed a bottle for herself and handed another to Han Sen. Han Sen had no suspicion and drank from the sealed bottle of water. Han Sen, do you think I'm pretty? King Xuan suddenly asked. Pretty? Of course you are. Han Sen was surprised and looked up at her, not understanding why she was asking this question. It was not her style. Do you think my lips are prettier or my eyes? King Xuan asked again. Han Sen felt dizzy. He could not help but look to the mouth of King Xuan, and gradually his sight moved up and fell on her bright eyes. The scripture of Jade Skin opened with these words, Jade Skin and flawless body, evils away, and spells vain. When he sipped the water, Han Sen knew something was wrong, but he still drank it without hesitation. Hearing a humming, Han Sen felt like his mind and eyes were sucked into King Xuan's eyes and that he almost lost his consciousness. Almost at the same time, a coolness welled from his limbs. Jade Skin started to run in his body automatically, and the coolness restored his senses. This woman wants to hypnotize me. What's she trying to do? Han Sen sneered inwardly, but didn't show anything on his face. He maintained that confused look. Han Sen, are my eyes not pretty? King Xuan asked. They are pretty, Han Sen answered in a low voice. Which part of my body do you like best? King Xuan asked again. Your boobs. Han Sen did not hesitate to answer. Why? King Xuan asked again. They are big, soft and bouncy, Han Sen replied. Nasty, King Xuan whispered. When they were in the combat room, Han Sen must have touched her boobs when they fought. Come and touch them, King Xuan said, lifting her chest. Han Sen did not hesitate to reach out his hands, and King Xuan suddenly pushed his hands aside. Now she could confirm that Han Sen had been completely hypnotized by her, as any normal person would hesitate when hearing such an odd request, which Han Sen did not. Are you Dollar? King Xuan's first question scared the hell out of him. Han Sen didn't realize King Xuan had connected some dots. Without time to think any further, he answered, no. King Xuan nodded, apparently not believing the two were the same person herself. She continued to ask, why are you unwilling to go to Blackhawk? Because it was too far away from home. Han Sen replied. How is that relevant? King Xuan did not understand his logic. I wouldn't be able to take care of my mom and my sister if it is too far away from home. Han Sen replied slowly. King Xuan was a bit surprised, and then her look softened. She asked, have you ever considered to join my squad? No. Why? King Xuan was slightly angry. I'm afraid of danger. I cannot die, replied Han Sen. Why can't you die? King Xuan looked at Han Sen, finding his reply curious. If I die, my mom and my sister will be bullied by my relatives, and I cannot let them be bullied. Han Sen continued to answer. King Xuan's expression became more and more gentle, and she continued to ask, why did you agree to join Bullseye? Because of you. Me. King Xuan was confused. Because I like you. Han Sen still had a dull face on. King Xuan blushed a little. Why do you like me? Because you are beautiful. Is there any other reason? Yes. What reason? Surprisingly, King Xuan was slightly excited to hear the answer. Because you are beautiful. Isn't this the same reason? King Xuan frowned. No. Why not? King Xuan looked at Han Sen, puzzled. Because the first time I saw you, I thought you are beautiful. The second time I saw you, you are more beautiful. I can't move away my eyes and want to look at you forever. King Xuan's cheeks turned crimson. She raised her arm and wanted to slap Han Sen out of it, but eventually didn't have the heart to do that and just gave him a pinch swiftly. Han Sen fell to the ground suddenly with an ouch, acting as if he had fallen under the bed in sleep. King Xuan subconsciously reached out her hand, but took it back and let Han Sen fall to the ground as she blushed at certain thoughts. What did you do to me? Han Sen suddenly climbed up from the ground and pretended to be frightened. You do not have to worry. I just wanted to know why you do not want to go to Blackhawk. King Xuan said softly. You hypnotized me. Han Sen was raged. One must go through this process to join the squad. The people we serve are special, so we must guarantee that every member had a clean slate. I myself had to go through the same thing. King Shuan looked at Han Sen and said gently, "You can rest assured that your family will be protected by the military once you go to Black Hawk and join my squad. No one could hurt them." Han Sen looked uncertain and remained silent. "Also, I can tell you that each shelter has the same kind of squad, providing service for special clients. This job wouldn't put you in great danger, and that's everything I can tell you. You can think about it yourself." After King Shuan left, Han Sen let out a long sigh of relief. From now on, King Shuan probably wouldn't suspect him again. This is an excellent opportunity. King Shuan would completely trust me after this, so she can become my cover. Others would think I got stronger and better because of her help and wouldn't suspect that I am Dollar. Then, I could gradually show my real ability using my own identity and abandon the guise of Dollar altogether, Han Sen thought to himself. This was why he had agreed to King Shuan's ask. Also, his family could indeed use the protection of the military. Han Sen then teleported into God's sanctuary as it was Dollar's time to participate in the second round of the martial arts contest. Han Sen, not evolved. Status, none. Lifespan, 200 years. Requirements for evolution, 100 Genopoints. Genopoints gained, 100 ordinary Genopoints, 100 primitive Genopoints, 47 mutant Genopoints, 29 sacred Genopoints. Beast souls gained, Sacred Blood Black Beetle, Sacred Blood Bloody Slayer, Sacred Blood Purple Winged Dragon, Mutant Three-Eyed Cat, Mutant Black Barracuda, Mutant Black Stinger, Mutant Sawfish. Han Sen looked at his current data and felt satisfied. Now he had as many as 3 Sacred Blood Beast Souls and several Mutant Beast Souls. Only 2 of the Mutant Beast Souls were less than satisfactory, and they were both from someone else. The Mutant Three-Eyed Cat was a pet that was useless at the moment, and the Mutant Black Barracuda Lu Winan gave him was an aquatic mount, which was completely useless on the land. At a grove near Steel Armor Shelter, Han Sen was meeting with Lin Beifeng. Han Sen was deliberately giving Lin the mutant creature meat he promised a few days later than when Dollar sold mutant black stingers. "This is for you." Han Sen took 2 dried sawfish out of his bag and gave them to Lin. Black stingers were no longer an option, so he had to give the fish to Lin. 2. Lin was overjoyed. Yes, it was a good trip. Han Sen gave him back the rest of the arrows, which were not really put into use. "It's fine. Keep them. Sen, can I join you next time?" Lin Beifeng looked at Han Sen expectantly. "I will if there is an opportunity. Please take the arrows back." Han Sen insisted. Lin had to take the arrows back, and the 2 returned to the shelter as they were talking. At the gate of Steel Armor Shelter, they ran into Son of Heaven's gang. Luo Tenyang stared at Han Sen as if he were to devour the guy. "Son of Heaven, long time no see," Lin said. "Lin, why are you with him?" Son of Heaven gave Han Sen an unkind glance. "Sen is my friend, and there seems to be nothing that can't be forgiven between you two. How about we let Han Sen buy us drinks and you can just let it go?" Lin asked Son of Heaven. "Let it go? Who do you think you are?" Luo Tenyang looked at Lin contemptuously. "Shut up." Son of Heaven stopped Luo Tenyang and said to Lin, "Lin, it's not that I don't respect you, but it is not that simple. If it is not settled properly, it will never be over." "Settle how?" "I will pay however much you think he owes you," said Lin. "It's not about money. You can ask him yourself," Son of Heaven said, and entered the shelter with his gang. "Sen, what was that about?" Lin looked at Han Sen puzzled. He thought their conflict was only the ass freak incident. Han Sen told him about the purple winged dragon, and Lin smiled wryly. It was indeed a big deal for Son of Heaven. Lin paused and laughed. "But it does not matter, you did not get the beast's soul anyway. I will try to mediate between you two. It's not a good idea to have Son of Heaven as an enemy. Just between us, you could offend a gentleman, but never a villain." The 2 also entered Steel Armor Shelter. Everyone inside the shelter seemed to be talking about some news. Han Sen listened carefully, and it turned out that Dollar was against Luo Tenyang in the second round. Dollar against Luo Tenyang. It must be an excellent fight. Son of Heaven must still be bitter from Dollar seizing his bloody Slayer beast soul. Luo Tenyang would probably try to kill Dollar for him. Kill Dollar? I don't think he can even last longer than 10 minutes. That's not fair. Dollar is strong, but so is Luo Tenyang. With the support from Son of Heaven, Luo probably has as many beast souls as he wishes. I think the result is hard to tell. I'd say it's easy to tell. Dollar will win. Haha, I agree. Does Luo Tenyang have wings? Can he fight a golden horned Shira? Exactly. How can Luo Tenyang even compare? I think it will take 3 minutes for Dollar to get rid of him. Han Sen did not expect to meet Luo Tenyang in the second round. He sneered inwardly. The mills of God grind slowly. This bastard is now in my hand. This time he was prepared and wore a cape over the armor, covering almost everything. Although he looked strange, he wasn't recognized like last time. Han Sen found a corner seat in the stands and sat down, watching others fight as he waited for his turn. Young Manly and Liu Hongtao were only 2 seats away. Why are you covered all over in such hot weather? Are you dressing as a witch? Su Xiaoqiao always liked joking and threw a comment at Han Sen. Brat, I'll deal with you later, thought Han Sen, not saying anything. Manly, who do you think will win, Dollar or Luo Tanyang? Several members of Bullseye started a heated discussion. Dollar, of course. Right, Manly? Su Xiaoqiao asked. Young Manly nodded, apparently agreeing with Su Xiaoqiao. Liu Hongtao commented on the side. Even Dollar is strong. He is just one person, without anyone behind his back, while Luo Tanyang was supported by Son of Heaven. It is still hard to tell who will win. One person is enough. Dollar fought a golden horn Shira alone. Even with a gang behind him, I don't think Luo Tanyang could do that, Su Xiaoqiao said with disdain. Young man, you are too young to understand. Liu Hongtao acted as an elder. What don't I understand? Su did not take that comment well. Think about it. If Son of Heaven and his whole gang all let Luo Tanyang use their beast souls, who do you think will win? Don't forget that Son of Heaven has a sacred blood shape-shifting ape beast soul, and God knows how many mutant beast souls he has. If Luo Tanyang used them all, do you still think Dollar will win? Liu Hongtao said confidently. It's just an ape beast soul. Dollar has a bloody slayer beast soul, wings and sacred blood armor. It would be easy for him to win Luo Tanyang. I don't think Luo Tanyang could last a minute, Su Xiaoqiao said disapprovingly. This kid sure knows how to speak. Han Sen was pleased with Su Xiaoqiao's words. Well, you just said Luo Tanyang couldn't last a minute, so let's make a bet. If Luo lasts less than a minute, you can have my mutant beast soul of red-hoofed beast. If he lasts longer than that, your mutant nocturnal wolf beast soul will be mine. Do you dare to bet against me? Liu Hongtao looked at Su Xiaoqiao and said. Su Xiaoqiao suddenly got nervous. 1 minute was just a figure of speech. How was it possible for one to end the match in a minute after all? Like Liu Hongtao had said, Son of Heaven had Luo's back. With some beast souls here and there, Luo Tanyang could definitely stay on the stage longer than a minute. Several Bullseye members tried to smooth things over, but being unreasonable, Liu Hongtao said with a mean tone. I'm trying to teach him not to comment on things he doesn't understand. He could say whatever he wishes at home, but in the society, a wrong comment could get him killed. #T. You insist. A bet is a bet. I'm game. Liu Hongtao didn't have the best personality and not many liked him except for a few henchmen of his. Almost everyone was on Su's side. Well, I appreciate a young man that can stick to what he believes in. If you don't trust me, we can both transfer our beast souls to Manly and let her be our witness, so that we could both reassured, Liu Hongtao said and gave his beast soul of red-hoofed beast to young Manly. Liu, it's just a small difference. We all are in Bullseye, and there is no need to do this. Young Manly frowned. Manly, I'm doing this for his own good. If he keeps being insolent like this, he might get into bigger troubles elsewhere in the future. Su Xiaoqiao felt upset after accepting the bet. Although he was confident in Dollar and believed he could win, 1 minute was simply too short. If he had really borrowed the ape beast soul from Son of Heaven, the match could easily last longer than 10 minutes. The match between Luo Tanyang soon began and Su Xiaoqiao murmured his prayers. Dollar, it was me who spread your name. Please help me. Suddenly, the guy in cape sitting next to Su Xiaoqiao, who had been silent the whole time, suddenly stood up and walked toward the stage, leaving Su Xiaoqiao and others dumbfounded. The guy took off the cape while walking, revealing the golden armor underneath, leading to an uproar in the stands. Dollar, haha, the angel came. I know there's no way he would miss this. Su Xiaoqiao was so happy that he jumped up. My god, Dollar, you are truly amazing. Kick Luo's ass for my sake, please. And remember, keep it under a minute. 1 minute. Su Xiaoqiao was now certain that Dollar has heard the dialogue about the bet. That was to say Dollar knew he should defeat Luo within a minute, which was undoubtedly good news for Su. Other Bullseye members were also very excited. Dollar was just sitting here, and we failed to recognize him. Indeed, we should have asked for his autograph. I hear you could sell that for a good price now. Xiaoqiao, you didn't say what you said because you knew it was him, did you? Su Xiaoqiao laughed. God helps those who help themselves. How could I know it was Dollar? He wrapped himself like a rice dumpling on such a hot day, and I was just wondering about that myself. Liu Hongtao's face was grim. He sneered and said, don't be happy now. Even if he wants to help you, it is impossible to defeat Luo in a minute. Nothing is impossible with Dollar. As long as he wants to do it, it will be done. Su Xiaoqiao immediately retorted, with all his faith in Dollar. Although young Manly was surprised that Dollar was sitting beside them, she was not as optimistic as Su Xiaoqiao. Rationally speaking, what Liu Hongtao said made sense. Luo Tianyang might not be Dollar's match, but he had Son of Heaven behind him, so he must have plenty of beast souls on him. Son of Heaven saw Dollar as a fierce rival, which was why he was using Luo as a pawn to weaken Dollar before he ran into Dollar himself and to find out how strong Dollar was. Luo Tianyang was both cunning and ruthless. He didn't take Dollar lightly and summoned the ape beast soul in a mutant suit of armor as soon as the steel lit up and the match started. Suddenly, standing on stage was a giant age more than 9 feet tall in a suit of bone armor with a long mace in its hands. The look alone was terrifying. A wisp of a smile crossed Son of Heaven's face. That was why he liked Luo. Luo's ability was less than impressive in his gang, but Luo had always been careful and decisive. Son of Heaven had always believed that one must know one's limits, which Luo did. Being meek towards the brutal and brutal towards the meek might be viewed as a bad thing. But the way Son of Heaven saw it, it was also a wise attitude. Luo Tianyang's decision now was much to Son of Heaven's satisfaction, playing it safe and trying to survive. Of course, Luo Tianyang's life was not very important to him, but if Luo died, the ape beast soul would be ruined as well. So, Luo must not die. That's it. Just do whatever you can and try to force Dollar to show all he got. If anything went wrong, just go off the stage and throw in the towel. Son of Heaven looked at the two on the stage and thought with a smile, Dollar, let me see what you've got. Liu Hongtao was amused by what Luo Tianyang did. I told you Son of Heaven would definitely give the ape beast soul to Luo. You see, with that mutant bone armor, it would take Dollar at least an hour to beat Luo. What are you talking about? Can someone like Luo Tianyang even shapeshift for an hour? Su Xiaocao disagreed. His heart did freeze a little as he didn't think Luo would really have the ape beast soul on him. Anyway, it would be easy for him to last 10 minutes, which means I could win 10 times, so it's a pity that you don't have 10 mutant beast souls. Liu Hongtao laughed. That will be all for now. I hope you find this story interesting. Leave a like, subscribe, and enable notifications so you won't miss the next part of this story. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.